Shalom and welcome to the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. We're continuing our work in Jeremiah chapter 8, looking at verse 5. You may recall in verse 4, our last time around, that the Lord told Jeremiah to ask the people, when people fall down, don't they usually just get up again? When people go off on the wrong road, don't they usually turn around and come back when they realize their mistake? So if that's the implied question, now we're going to see what the question continues in verse 5, how the question continues. Let's go ahead and read this verse in Hebrew as we get started. A little bit complicated with a few interesting points to it. Madua shoveva ha'am hazeh Yerushalayim meshuva nitzchachat hehaziku betarmit ma'anu lashuv. A bit tricky right in here with all these gutturals. Madua. Why is our interrogative question right here? Why? Shoveva. Now, what do we have here? This is a little bit unusual. Okay, you can probably guess that the root is going to be shuv, and it actually is. That's our verbal form here. But what we have here is a poel. And strictly speaking, some of the grammarians would actually call this, since we're dealing with a hollow verb like this, with a vav verb, strictly speaking, this was actually a polel, and some grammars will list it like that, which this is like the PL form of a hollow verb or a weak verb, and this is going to be a perfect. It's going to be a 3FS, polel, from our verb shuv. Again, one of just a regular vav there, and then like this, shuv. So, one of Jeremiah's favorite words. Now, why we have this ending of it tells us we have a 3FS. So why, and the verb means to, obviously, to turn aside. In this sense here, it would mean to turn aside in the sense of apostatizing with this PL verbal idea expressed by the poel in this kind of a verb, or a polel, would be more than just turning aside. It'd be more the idea of intensifying it. So to apostatize, and in this context, apostatize is a good translation. So why has she apostatized? And then we have the people, this one. Why has this people apostatized? But wait a minute, you may be saying, well, people, whoa, people is masculine, and this is a masculine demonstrative pronoun over here. Why do we have a feminine over here? Well, that is a little bit of a problem, except that we seem to also have after this people, and you can almost put a comma in your mind, Jerusalem. So the city is the referent, and when we're talking about this people, and Jerusalem, of course, is a feminine concept here, the city itself. So perhaps that's why we're picking up this feminine idea. Why has this people, Jerusalem, apostatized? And that would explain why we have that. The Septuagint actually drops Jerusalem altogether, and they try and modify this one, take off the hey so it stays more masculine. You can keep the grammar. But this is the more difficult reading, and we should probably keep it. And it really doesn't pose a problem whatsoever. So why is Jerusalem apostatized? And then we find these two words here. Now, do you see the root here again? Meshuvah, this is our word which means apostasy, and it's from that same root shuv that we have over here. Jeremiah uses this word a lot. An apostasy, no article on it, an apostasy nitzchat. It's a hard word to say. Well, what is this? It seems to be a participle. It seems to be a feminine singular participle, and a nifal from a verb natsak, like this. And I'm going to put parentheses around it because this is supposed to be a nun here, pardon me, because we don't find it in the cow. And this seems to be the idea of enduring. It's a rare word. We do find another form of it, which usually is used almost like an adverb, meaning something that's enduring forever or ongoing or something like that. So this seems to be an enduring apostasy. So we have an apostasy and then a continual or enduring apostasy. You can see the nun of this right here of the root that's in that dogish right there, and the hey obviously is the feminine singular participle. So they've turned aside, they're apostatized with an enduring apostasy. so to speak. They have strengthened. Well, what is this? Well, we have a he at the beginning. You have this hierarchy here in the middle, and you have this u at the end. So that u at the end is going to tell us we don't have another performative. We do have a prefix, but not a performative. So this is going to be a perfect. It's going to be a third common plural, and it's going to be a hifil. And it's from our verb hazak. Hazak, which in the Cal means to be strong, to be firm, and the hifil would be to make strong or to take hold of, to grasp something firmly and not want to let go of it. And it takes its direct object with a beith, which is what we're going to find here. So they have taken hold of the, here's the article is in there, you can see that right in there, of the tarmit. Well, this is a noun that's derived from the root rama, which means to be treacherous, to deceive in a treacherous way. So this is deception, deceit, betrayal, treachery, something along that line. And the people have taken hold of, they have seized, they have grasped treachery. They have not refused, or they have refused, the negation was... No negation here at all. They have refused, and what do we have here with an u ending on it? This is a perfect. This is going to be a third common plural as well. This one is a PL. And you can see usually you have a doubling here with simple hierarchy over here. The guttural rejects it. I'm going to put, this is from the noun, from the root, ma'an, but I'm going to put parentheses around it like this because we don't really find it in the Cal at all. So so we reject the dagesh here. We lengthen this hierarchy into a full sere, and it means to refuse. So they have refused to, and shuv here with our nuance of coming back, or probably very in this context here with apostasy, we would better translate it. They refused to repent. So they have continued firmly. They're acting against the normal course of the way people should act. If you fall down, you get up. If you turn aside the wrong way, you come back to the right way. But they have systematically refused to do that. And that's what we see here in the work in the Hebrew text here. Let's look at a couple translations and see how our different translations have what they've done with this. Why then? Now you're going to notice that all of our translations are going to use this word then, although we don't really have any word up here that would translate the then, but it's because of the contrast with verse 4. This is the normal way people do things in verse 4. Why, therefore, then? So this is a logical word that needs to be inserted even in our most literal translations like the New American Standard. Why then has this people, Jerusalem, you can see the apposition then, turned away in continual apostasy, apostasy continually, continual apostasy. They hold fast to deceit, for they grasp this firmly, they refuse to return. Another translation, a little bit more smoothed out, perhaps, in the New International Version. Why then, once again, have these people turned away? Why does Jerusalem always turn away? So that's what they've done with this and this over here. They've put those three words together. You don't have why repeated, but it actually communicates it pretty well. Why does Jerusalem always turn away, continually turning away? They cling to deceit. They're made firm in their deceit. They refuse to return. And then just one more, in the Revised English Bible from across the ocean in Britain. Then, you see, even there we find it. Why are this people so wayward? That's not a bad translation, although wayward probably could be a little weak, but when you get to the rest of this, incurable in their waywardness, well, that's coming across pretty strongly. And wayward in the sense of an apostasy, yes, that's what's happening here. Why have they persisted? Why have they held firm in their treachery? And that's actually a very good translation for this word here, tarmit. And refused to return. They have refused to come back and repent. You could translate any of these as repent instead of return. That's the question that Jeremiah is asking. That's the question we should ask ourselves. Why are we, hopefully we're not refusing, but even when we're slow to return, why are we so slow rather than coming back and immediately grasping the offer of forgiveness and redemption that the Lord gives to us? Well, Jeremiah is going to pursue this line of reasoning with the people. The Lord's going to pursue his heart in reasoning with his people. So check back with us soon for the next verse in the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Shalom.